Smart 24, driving business.
Very good morning. Welcome to Smart Men's Business. I'm Andrew Barija here with Matsi Katune. We are back here. It's yet another business day. Well, I congratulate you to have reached it actually quite very efficiently, and definitely it's time to get back in. And you know, there is a word which they use these days, actually not these days, it's been on for a while, the hustle. Yeah, it's time to get back to a fresh new hustle for this Thursday. Well, Mercy, how are you? How was your morning like?
Well, good morning, Andrew. Good morning, everyone. Well, the Thursday is actually quite amazing. I like the energy I am feeling. It is good actually to wake up with a lot of energy because you get things done. Of course, you get things done, and at the end of the day, you know you have accomplished something. So definitely, I am very sure that you're on your way to work, or you're preparing to go to work, and of course you're tuning in to Smart 24 TV and definitely watching Smart Men's Business. Of course, we're here to take you till 9:55 a.m. and of course your daily Kickstarter. We have amazing things for you, things that have been trending yesterday, and of course Uganda making headlines all over. But of course, what do we know? We shall survive, we shall thrive regardless.
And maybe just to quick remind you right there that most of this conversation actually powered by Zabu. That is a platform from Altix, which has made your trading experience much more easy and friendly. Now, as I speak, in a few minutes left, just about an hour and a half for the markets to be operating and for you to be a part of them. It's quite very simple. *92# is simply the code that will avail you with the options where you'll be in position to actually buy government bonds and securities for a fee of just 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now the markets are going to be opening at exactly 8:15 a.m. running all the way to 3:15 p.m. East African time. And this is effective Monday up to Friday, apart from the weekends and the public holidays when this markets cannot be accessed. But of course, despite that, you have these other days to capitalize and make money. Something which I believe is quite very key and essential when it comes to your financial development. Zabo made this a reality. And also just to remind you that on top of *92#, you have to register the national identification number for you to proceed efficiently. That's why Zabo says my money, my future, and Altix East Africa tells you do something new. Remember, it is 2023. Well, now to kickstart off into our morning call, just like Master told you, you're gonna making headlines all over. As yesterday, the World Bank suspended lending money to the country Uganda, of course, due to the anti-homosexuality bill that was passed. That is by the president. But of course, it seems like President Museveni was like, yes, it's very okay. We can actually survive without your money. So let us proceed in here as we see the World Bank suspending funding that is to Uganda. And of course, it's everywhere. Now, the World Bank suspended any future funding for projects that is in Uganda, citing human rights violation that is from the recent enactment of the anti-homosexuality law. And now a statement from the bank say that further funding is frozen until authorities actually in Uganda provide adequate policy that is to protect minorities, including lesbians, homosexuals, gay, transgender, and other groups commonly categorized as the LGBT. So you can really see how really serious this is.
This is really serious.
What kind of times we live in.
You know, it's actually an option, one of the options when you're maybe applying for
actually, if you're trying to apply for courses abroad, they'll ask you your opinion on LGBT. And if you say that you don't support them, chances are high that actually your application won't be seen through. So that's where we're heading as a country, Uganda. Not only actually Uganda, but we are talking about countries that also signed this very bill that are against homosexuality. You see how political this matter is actually heading to. You know, very, 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 very upset. Now, as we proceed here, Uganda's Anti-Homosexuality Act fundamentally contradicts that is the World Bank Group's values. You know, according to the World Bank, it says that they believe that their vision, that is to eradicate poverty, is that is a livable planet can only succeed if it includes everyone irrespective of race, gender, sexuality. Of course, the bank said in a report that was on Tuesday. Now, this law undermines those efforts, inclusion, and that is non-discrimination, sit at the heart of their work. That is around the world. These are all statements from actually the World Bank claiming that. And in May, actually, President Yoweri Museveni signed into law the Anti-Homosexuality Act, providing penalties that is as high as death sentence. That is for aggravated homosexuality, and the condemnations from the rights groups and Western countries such as US who threatened sanctions. You remember actually, I think it was last week, the United Nations Human Rights Commission in Uganda closed.
Yes, yes.
You get that? So if you can actually put all these together,
it makes sense.
It can make sense for the World Bank to say that, you know what, you see, the human rights no longer there, and now all this, so basing on this, we are not going to lend you money, you know. But you see, like the World Bank is more of Western ideologies, capitalism.
Definitely.
It's a free, do what you want, do what thou willest. I mean, that's what it says, you know. And with a communist perspective, that's why if we see another bank which is likely to actually come out of the BRICS, this one leaning to, you know, these other nations that have been oppressed by the IMF and the World Bank in courts. Of course, that's why they say they have been unfair to them. Communism, where you have actually control. That yes, you give the society a certain liberty, but at some point you need to have some influence. Now, the influence comes in with factors such as, you know, unfairness, immorality. Now, like here we see, so something which is actually way against the Western principles.
This could be, I don't know, maybe an advantage because we may get, I think we may get aid from these maybe Arab countries because they do not agree with this.
They don't agree with that.
Yes, so maybe they could come to our rescue. It could be the opportunity to, you know, chip in and help as well. The fact that they've been up and down in Africa, definitely, it could be a chance for them and a chance for us as well to test, have a feel on what they can offer. And of course, we shall read more of this and their new vision later on as the president meets Saudi Arabia. And of course, that is on matters regarding value addition.
Okay. Now, of course, as we still proceed further, a team from the bank, that is the World Bank, say they have been speaking with Ugandan officials. That is on additional measures that are necessary. That is to ensure that projects are implemented in alignment, that is with the environmental and social standards at the same time. Now, of course, we still see that their goal is to protect homosexual minorities, and that is from discrimination. That is in the projects they finance. And now these measures are currently under discussion, that is with the authorities. Now, no new public financing to Uganda will be presented, that is to their board of directors, until that is efficacy of the additional measures has been tested. And of course, same-sex relations had been illegal, that is in Uganda, even before this law and the old penal code. I mean, just the moral, I mean, the old penal code, it wasn't just right. I mean, it stretches back all the way from our African ancestors. I mean, this was quite immoral. I mean, who can even believe such a thing? I don't know, sometimes when the president say that, okay, if somebody can actually give birth, then we shall approve it. You know, if somebody can actually give birth when they're gay, you know, and all that. So we see that critics judge the new law seals any possible protections, that is for minorities, that is who may now not be able to rent property, that is as the new law promises punishments to those who conceal the homosexuals. Of course, the president made it clear in the State of the Nation's address when he said that actually, if you declare that you're gay and you feel like you need help, there is no problem with that. But the issue is, once you're trying to form a doctrine of trying to get people to follow you, that's the issue with Uganda. You know, but if you're willing to get help, I mean, psychological help, I mean, a psychiatrist, It's okay in
Yes,
Uganda.
those
It's very
provisions
fine.
can be made for you. But
Yeah.
I remember there was a discussion and they were conversing and maybe having an argument. And of course, one of this, I think, was a transgender female, a man to female. And one of the judges was asking him, do you know what it takes to be a woman? You know, just because you transition to another gender doesn't make you feel, because these are hormones.
They are hormones. Definitely.
Actually, you are born a different gender, so you cannot get to have that natural feel of being the other.
Definitely, absolutely.
Yeah, so definitely, you may change physically, but the DNA, the hormones and everything, it's totally you.
It's totally you, exactly. I
Yes.
mean, absolutely, it's totally you.
You wouldn't know what it takes to be a man or a woman.
Though recent, I've been seeing some research
They
happening.
inject hormones.
Yeah, they can actually change hormones and DNA, change the structure of the DNA, because they realize that actually the DNA of a human being can hold about 500 terabytes of data.
Oh,
Yeah.
so we are going that far.
Because you see, there were times when they could find it hard to treat diseases like sickle cells
Yes.
because it's more like it's in your DNA. So they're more like, that means they can edit your DNA.
Yes.
So they can remove what they don't want. They can put something else you want. It's like delete, install, default settings and all that. You know, that's how. So the same, I think, applies to some of these people. Say they're transgender, trying to be a human. So they put a DNA, a male DNA into the arrest. My goodness, it's quite.
I would imagine the kind of the body trying to respond
to that.
Yeah, respond to
It's like trying to load and operate a latest version of Windows onto a machine that was manufactured in 1973. Sometimes the Windows may not be able to sit with the hardware.
Yes.
And it may blow up. Anyway, that is something to do with that. And a while back, suspending Uganda due to the Anti-Homosexuality Act passed by President Yoweri Museveni. Well, that is it for this. And now let's cross over and take a look at what's happening. That is into the praise. Well, I have the Daily Monitor. Mercy has that is the New Vision. Of course, just to kick start off here briefly, we see World Bank locks road schools money, just like we've been talking about, and there is a portion divided here, like some sort of a pie chart of World Bank funded projects in Uganda. You know, agriculture and food. I can see education, 4%, agriculture 4%, environmental and natural resources and blue economy. That is 3%. You know, urban resilience and land, 21%. Yeah, so many. You can find that out when you get yourself a copy of the New Vision. And President Yoweri Museveni definitely says that we can do without loans. We don't need your loans. We don't need your loans. And even as the government yesterday remained bullish with President Museveni saying Uganda can do without loans. That is after the World Bank chose to freeze. That is the aid that it's applying there. And the details have that we have compiled show that the decision that is could be detrimental, that is to the country, definitely, which relies heavily on foreign funding. And of course, we look at what this means and our possible routes that is out of this hole. It's a really, they call it a black hole, out of the black hole in the universe. So that's some sort of a state which Uganda seems to be going. But President Museveni is like, we can still survive.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have been surviving of years, generations, so definitely we can still survive with the little we have.
You know, anyway, I'll talk about something here, this when we get into our inspirational quotes moment, but there is something I've come to realize about this. You know, I mean, when you try to connect it for you to get a degree, so that means even to access 99% of the services, a few times to come, you need to really agree with LGBT.
Yes.
I mean, But you see, that is still abuse of human rights. If I don't like it, why do you force me to like it?
Exactly. Okay, I may
So,
agree with it, but then I mean, do I have to do it?
Okay, I don't personally. Okay, even though
So if that means if my child woke up in the morning and is like, "Mom, I don't think I want to be,
Will you accept it?
want to be like my sisters." So
will you accept it?
I wouldn't. You have to go through all the natural processes of being a man.
Perfect.
Just like your ancestors were. So, of course, in the New Vision Ministry warns institutions on information management system, and that is 34,000 schools failed to register. And of course, Museveni quotes Saudi Arabia on value addition. And of course, President Museveni was with Ahmed bin Abdul Aziz, and of course, they were discussing matters regarding value addition on Monday. And of course, farmers on the business side, Airtel to sell 8 billion shares to Uganda. And of course, government discusses World Bank suspension. Yes, it's been making headlines actually yesterday.
Yeah,
and people, because we were used to this. The first report that we had, there was a report before about people having opinions, about Uganda having signed. I mean, I don't think we were the only country that. Maybe the penalties were actually. Maybe the penalties are the ones that may be heavy.
Exactly.
Yes, death. So, but other countries have been signing this. I think when it came to us, it was just the penalty that was heavy for most people.
Very interesting. But I think the president made it clear. He didn't say it's only a death. It can lead to death when you're trying to force people into to be. But he didn't say if you're doing it on your own. I mean, nobody might care, and that as long as you're out there trying to seek help. Engage people to help you to change on that. But you didn't say that, you come out, you say you're gay and you kill. I mean, you go to prison straight away. No, the issue is when you try to make people
to rebel against it and maybe try to involve other like children.
It's like you want to make a church, the doctrine of gay, and then you're trying to preach the doctrine of gay, some sort of a cult. I mean, that's not what works here. Now here we see still in the national news section in the Daily Monitor, President Yoweri Museveni to meet media over advertisement ban. Yeah, so let us see what really comes out as a result of that. Of course, it's going to be meeting with different media CEOs and different journalists to really discuss this matter quite very further. And Aga Khan gives Uganda 2 mobile vaccination clinics. We'll find that out in the Daily Monitor. Well, that is it for our press update. And now let's switch our eyes and take a look at the traffic atmosphere. And I believe the images that you're taking a look up there coming in from the fairway traffic lights. Absolutely perfect. So you can actually see, well, it looks quite a calm situation. It's quite a calm situation. Of course, taking a look at the John Babiha routine there. The